Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be different than any other video that I've actually done. This one is actually going to be for those who have a Kawasaki Vulcan 1500 Classic. This is actually the Carburetor 401, and I have looked online for a rebuild on this, and they are basically non-existent. I can't really find them. So that's what we're going to be doing on this video here. I'm going to try to do it kind of quick because I mean it's 10:30 right now and I got to be wrapped up by about 11, so I'm going to try to knock this out pretty quick. As you guys can clearly see on the Magna, I got myself my sissy bar, back seat, and my back rack, or my luggage rack. So that part is done. Also, I have the windshield, and I had that installed as well. So that will be, like I said, that'll be covered in a later video. But today's video is about this carburetor here. This one, I've already gone into the bowl on this. The bottom part of a carburetor is called the bowl, and on the top of the carburetor, this is your the hood. It's the diaphragm inside here. This carburetor is it belongs to my vice president's motorcycle that he just bought, and then he had an oil issue on the bike, so he pulled the engine, and this is probably one of the last steps for rebuilding the engine. The carburetor needs a once-over. So anyway, I started taking this apart. I looked at it, and you know, it's kind of dirty on the outside. It tells me a little bit of a story of the condition of the engine itself. What you want to look for before you ever tear into one of these is you want to look for leaks. It'll give you an idea of what was happening while it was on the bike. Any previous or noticeable leaks on the bike itself, and it'll give you an idea of the operating conditions this thing was facing while working. But I've never taken one of these apart. Oh, I can't stand those things. Jeez. Anyway, so I went and I scoured the internet, and I looked for other videos that rebuild these, and there's like one video that shows the rebuild of this, and the guy moves way too fast. He doesn't say anything. So I figured, what the hell, I might as well throw this together since I have one and I know what I'm doing. Now, by all means, I am not a professional, but I do have a grasp on how all of this operates. So give me 1 second. Let me turn on the fan and get my air, and we'll get started. All right, so you're probably wondering, you know, what tools you're going to need in order to rebuild one of these carburetors. Well, it's quite simple, really. You're going to want, it'll be beneficial if you can find yourself a source of air. In my case, I'm fortunate to have an air compressor. Come here. Come here. 1, 2, 3, and grab it. Come here. I do have a source of air, or compressed air. This is to kind of blow off everything else that's on the outside of the carburetor. The one thing you don't want is, whenever you go to rebuild this, is to have debris getting inside the inside the carburetor when you're working. Let's go ahead and kind of zoom in on our work. Alright, now again, I do apologize if this video is going to be long, but it's going to be as informative as I can possibly get it for y'all. Alright, so like I said, the first thing you want to look for is the previous condition, how dirty it is. You want to see if any fuel has been leaking out of this push rod here, because there's a diaphragm that is filled with fuel. This is your accelerator pump right here. So fuel can seep past the little gasket. What it looks like inside, it looks like this right here. So, and I'll be going through all of the components. This is the rebuild kit. My vice president bought a rebuild kit, but it was the wrong one, so I went online and I bought the right one. I'm not going to be doing any cleaning on the inside here, but I will be describing what to be looking for. All the jets and stuff, I will be replacing them with stock, brand new ones, so that whenever he puts his bike back together, he will not have any problems. Alright, so like I said, the first thing you want to double check is it dirty? You know, in this case, it's actually fairly clean. It's got a little bit of dirt on the outside, but that's fine. If you have yourself some compressed air, it doesn't take a lot. You don't need to, you know, blast like 100 psi into this carburetor at all. Just very little amount of air is more than enough. Don't like get all up in there and blast it, because the last thing you want to do is be cramming dirt that's already in there even further and packing it to block small channel ways or little ports that are inside the carburetor. You don't want to do that, because a lot of the stuff is very, very delicate. So in this case, I'm just going to go ahead and kind of blow it off and clean it. Now, before you go to blow this off and use your compressed air, you want to check your surroundings. In this case, you want to check to see, like, I work in a motorcycle garage, or my garage is a motorcycle garage. But anyway, you want to look for anything that's open that dirt might get into, such as open intake. So I'm looking around me, and I don't have anything open, any intakes that are open, no engines that are open, so I'm okay. But in the future, if you guys go to work on these, you want to check your surroundings and make sure you're not going to make the job harder for somebody else by blowing your dirt up at somebody else or somebody else's project. It sounds like a lot, but it actually is a lot. Alright, now whenever you go to work on these, I'm looking at the condition of it. It's kind of dirty on the inside. I know you guys probably can't see all too well, but let me see if you guys can. I don't know. Yeah, you kind of can. Let's go ahead and zoom that in. Let's do this for you guys. Hopefully I can kind of keep it that way. There we go. Yeah, if you look on the inside of this, I can't remember what it's called. It's a plunger basically. This slides, and I can feel it's supposed to fall all the way down, and it's not. There's a little, you see a little notch inside. Yeah, you see how slow it coming back down? Yeah, that thing's dirty. So definitely needs to be cleaned up, and that's what we're going to do for today. So this is going to be a little difficult. I'm used to having somebody else help me. Alright, so I want to kind of get rid of some of these loose wires and stuff. This right here is going to be your choke. So let's go ahead and get rid of that and get that off to the side. I can't remember what size it is. I think it's a 14 millimeter, if I'm not mistaken. That's 12, 13, 14. Nope. Wow, really? Is it really a 12 mil? Man. See, I don't work on Kawasaki, guys. I don't know much about them. Alright, so that one was actually not really tight, but it wasn't very loose either. So that's going to be a slight concern for me. I want to make sure that the seal on that is going to be good. And you want to try to remember where everything came from. So, alright, straight out. There should be a spring and a needle. Just like that. Alright. So what I'm looking at here, that's your choke. Alright. That's your choke. Pulls in, pushes out. And I don't know if there's an O-ring. I think there's an O-ring. I did some reading on these first before I tore into it. I don't know where my flashlight's at. Hold on, I'll be right back. Hang on. Okay, I'm back. We're gonna look inside that choke port. I don't think there's an O-ring in there, and it does not look like there is one, so that's good. I don't know if you guys can see, you probably can't. See, where I'm looking is down in there. It does not look like there's a choke port, or an O-ring, so that's fine. Okay, so what I do remember from whenever you work on these carburetors is I'm going to leave this alone, but I'm going to be taking these things off. The last thing I want to take off is the hood, because when I flip this upside down, if these screws are on there really tight, and if you try to use a screwdriver, if you try to do it this way, you'll never get that downward force to break them free. So that's why it's important to do that side last and push down on these screws to get some kind of torque, and you can break them loose and not strip them. Now, luckily for me, I've already kind of broke these free. But you can tell that somebody's been here before me. So, if I'm not mistaken, I think in this kit they come with new screws, and I will be using these. So all the screws and stuff that are on here, they come in a new, all new. They will be replaced. Let's go ahead and take this thing off of there. I'm not going to need this. I don't know what this is. I have no idea. But I definitely make sure I know where everything came from. Try to keep everything together, because I don't know where most of this stuff comes from. This should pull straight up. There's an O-ring. Actually, I think there's two O-rings. Yeah. There's one O-ring here and one O-ring there. So we're going to see if we have those two O-rings in this kit. If there's not, then I'm just going to put this back. It does not look like it comes with those two O-rings, so we're going to put that back over here. I don't know what this is. I think this is for a fuel filter. That's what it looks like to me. But this, like I said, belongs to my vice president, and he said he's got another filter, so I'm going to leave that alone. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and while it's exposed, I'm also going to break these free. Break these loose. This is the accelerator pump. What this does is whenever you go to roll on the throttle in a hurry, that carburetor is not going to be able to keep up. So what it does is there is fuel that's going to be inside here in this part of the diaphragm. Or is it down here? I think it's down here. Alright, yeah, it's at the bottom. So whenever you go to roll on the throttle, or like this, this is going to move up. Okay, so roll the throttle. There we go. Yeah. When you go to twist the throttle really hard, well, this plunger pushes down, which pushes that diaphragm, which shoves fuel. It forces fuel into this carburetor, but it bypasses the bowl entirely, and it shoots it straight up here and into this little jet right here. I don't know if there's anything still in there. There shouldn't be. But whenever you wrap on the throttle like that, it's actually gonna, you can see this little tube right here, it actually squirts fuel directly into the intake, bypassing the bowl altogether. And what it does is it's waiting for, it takes a few seconds for the vacuum in here to pull fuel up through the jet and into the carburetor. So this bypasses that and speeds it up, and it squirts the fuel in a hurry whenever you try to get on the throttle really quick. It basically, it eliminates throttle delay. That's all it does. So if you ever get a leak in this, check your diaphragm. So we're going to get into that here momentarily. Let's see what else. I just loosened that. This is your fuel idle adjuster. The type of screwdriver does matter. You want to make sure that you got a good bite on it. Not too big, not too small. It needs to be just right. Otherwise, you'll round it off. You don't want to do that. On this carburetor, from bottom, whenever you bottom this screw out, it's 1 3/4 turn for spec settings. Half, 1, and about an 1/8. So that's bottomed out. Now you don't want to crank on that because it's very possible for you to break that. And let me show you what you'll end up breaking. So it's bottomed out, and what you would do is you would, it started here, so it's half, 1, and then about 3/4. And that's actually going to be about your stock setting. But we're going to go ahead and pull that out anyway. See, this is where I kind of screwed up last time and I wasn't paying attention. But this is very, very important. There's 2 things you need to pay attention to. Alright, so let's back this out all the way. Alright. Should be a spring in there, but that little needle, you guys can see, that needle is very, very important. This is your fuel adjustment screw. Let me show you. Alright. See a needle? Yeah. That needle is very, very, very important. You want to baby that as much as you can. And don't break it off, because that's the most common thing that breaks, is that needle. Alright. I'll make sure it's kind of clean. I'm sure it's alright. The most common place for these to break is it's not in the carburetor. It's actually in storage. Because when people go to take these carburetors and throw them in their into little bins to store them away, they accidentally drop it on this little needle, and it breaks it off, and then these are useless. these are rendered completely useless. I really can't give you guys much more light out here, so I apologize. But yeah, fuel needle, fuel adjustment screw. Set that off to the side. There is a spring, there is an O-ring, and there is a washer. There's 3 things inside here that you need to have. So I don't know if I'll be able to get them all. No. Well, that's what's supposed to come out. I must have put it in the wrong place. I kind of had a feeling I did. But I will show you guys here in a minute. But yeah, that's what's supposed to be on this. So there's supposed to be a washer and then an O-ring. So we're going to go ahead and take the rest of this off. Where's my screw? Oh, stuck. Right here. So there's nothing else down there. I'm looking, there is no O-ring. I do apologize, guys, if this is a very long video. I am trying to cover all this because there is no other video that I was able to see. But these are the things, whenever you go to rebuild a carburetor, you gotta pay attention. Because if you are new at this, if you are a novice, and you get a bag like this, look, I'm experienced, and I damn near freaked out when I saw all of these in here. I didn't know where all this goes. You think I know where all that goes? No. I had to watch videos and read up on it before I did. Alright, so accelerator pump. So let's go ahead and pull that off. No, not just yet. So the carburetor, this is the bowl. These are actually connected on here. So go ahead and remove those. I'm going to pull it out of here. And that should make it free. This should free it up. Come straight up. Just like that. Alright, so I have looked in here already. That float is clearly old, but it is moving. That is good. It is very, very good. I'm actually impressed on how free that is. I will be replacing this right here. So I'll be doing that here a little bit later. After I pop that open, I'll explain that. This, okay, the float on this, I'm actually surprised that it's moving as free as it does. That's a good thing. So that tells me that this, the fuel valve on this side, fuel stop valve, I don't know how else they call it, is free moving, so that's good. So I'll adjust. I'm going to cover that. What else? What else? What else? Can't think of anything else in here. Oh, that's good. Alright, you're going to have, this is your fixed, this is a fixed jet right here, and these two you can take out. I'm trying to remember what this one is called. Let me pull everything out. I don't have a punch, but what a lot of folks do is they'll take their punch and they'll go to this pin. I don't know if you guys can see. See that pin right there? That pin. You'll take a punch and you'll push on it, or you'll push or pop it, and it will slide all the way through. On some carburetors I've discovered, especially Harley Davidson, are notorious for it. They're directional, and they'll have like an arrow stamped on the inside, so you can't really screw up. Let's see if it goes this way. Try not to break it. I really need a punch, honestly. There we go. Push a little bit. I don't recommend doing it this way. I would say get a punch. That way you don't have any issues. But I don't have one. So I apologize for those who are probably gritting their teeth right now. But just bear with me. Push a little more. Try and pull that out. I just not want to cooperate. I'm going to lightly pull on this because I don't want to scratch it up. There we go. And I will be polishing this pin up the best I can. But don't lose that. That's important. You go to pull this float up, pull it straight up. If it doesn't budge or do anything, be very careful with it. Use carb and choke cleaner, or use some kind of penetrating oil to break it loose. I've actually had to do that a couple times, and so far these are free moving, so that is good. But I don't like the condition of this float. I don't like the condition of it. It's just old. Float height also matters whenever you're running, because if your bike is, if the fuel just won't stop, that might be an issue. You also want to check this little button that's on the top of your, the fuel, this little fuel needle. Sorry, my fingers are all dirty. Come on, focus. Focus. Perfect. You see a little button on the top? Alright, you want to make sure that it pushes down like that. Make sure it's free moving. And it springs back up like that. That is a good needle. Also, you want to look at the seat. Make sure that it's perfect and it's not worn out or anything or broke off. This one here is in really good shape. I think somebody's been in this carburetor before, because this one looks brand new. Now, I can't say the same for the float, but it's whatever. Let's try this. Yeah, it's better. All right, this is your choke right here. It goes down here, over here. See a little ball bearing? It's pressed in. That should not fall out. And then you'll see down inside the bowl itself, it actually goes up. So if you look on the outside of that chamber, it goes up here. Alright, it ends up right here. No, I'm sorry, it's out here, my bad. That's my bad. This one right here, it goes up, it ends up right here. Well, what's on the other side of this? It's this. And that was your choke. And proof of that is this. You see that? Remember that choke I told you guys about? Yep. And it goes in there. So that's your choke. So this controls your cold starts. So this port right here, this one here, that one is for your choke. This one, if I'm not mistaken, I think that is for again, I'm not 100% on this. I think this is for your idle air. One of them is your idle, and the other one is your main main jet. So let me go ahead and pull these out. I can't remember right off the top of my head, guys. I apologize. Like I said, I'm not by any means a professional on this. I just have the general idea of how things work. No. Is it an 8? $8 mil. Alright, so we're gonna easily take it off. Now there's a little jet that's on the top, but this is also for air. Alright. What this one is for the actual throttle itself, or the butterfly. That's for the butterfly. Wherever it slides. See that rod that's inside there? Well, if you draw a line, this butterfly, that rod, goes inside here. Oh, you guys can't see it, I'm sorry. This rod goes inside the carburetor right here. And it is part of this right here. Alright. So this is going to be your main jet. And I guess this is for your idle jet, I do believe. So let's go ahead. Now remember, these are just brass. Alright. So you want to make sure that you get the right screwdriver that's going to fit perfectly inside. Alright, this is like I said, it's very, very important. You want to make sure it seats perfectly inside there. You don't want it to where it just barely grabs the top of those threads, because whenever you go to turn it, you'll round those things off and then you're going to hate yourself. You also need to make sure that it is as wide as the jet itself. You don't want it too narrow, because that's when you also round it off. Alright, so there's another one that's inside here. It's right here. And I think this screwdriver should fit perfectly inside there. It should. It barely touches the sides, and I'm barely wiggling it. It feels like I got a good bite, so I'm just going to give it a little bit of a turn. Come on. I'm push it down a little bit, and it broke free, which is good. That's fine. A little bit of turn action, and away you go. But you want to make sure that you have a screwdriver for the job and do it right. If it doesn't fit perfectly, it's okay. Take your screwdriver down to a grinder and shave it down so it'll fit correctly. Alright, so if you're going to do the job, guys, do it right. Alright, that one feels like it's skipping threads. So let's go ahead and pull that out. This is a fuel jet. I'm not sure exactly what it says on there. What does that say? Alright, you see how that thing fits perfectly in there? And it's just wired enough?
A, that's what she said. And B, I wanted it to be impressive.
That's good. Alright, so moving on. Fuel jet. I do know that there is an O-ring in here somewhere. Can't remember exactly which one. So let's go ahead and pop this one off of here. The fuel, this jet here, these come apart. Hold that, pop this off. This one's going to be short as it falls inside. Alright, I'm looking at markings. This one says, it looks like 140. And the other one says, wow, that's hard to read. That's like 40. So this one says 40, this one says 140. This is for your air mixture. Air comes in from the outside and gets pushed in through here. Now, you're probably wondering, why is that open the way it is? Inside here it needs to be absolutely smooth. All these ports, you need to hold them up to the light. I don't know if you guys can see. Probably can't. This is the way you check them. You see a light coming through them. I'm sorry, it's really, really bright. Let me dial that light back. There we go. Alright, you need to be able to see light through those ports. There you go. There's light coming through those, and light coming through those. So that's good. And then you need to be able to see light through this one, and you can. This one's clear. This is the one that the needle for the butterfly. That's what it goes through. Okay. These other ports, you need to be able to. What you do is you hold these things up to the light, and you want to be able to look through it like that. There you go. And you want to be able to see that. You want light, and that's good. Also, it's got little ports on the side too. We'll make sure that those are clean, and you can see light in those. And we can. So that's good. And then we look at the actual main jet. And the main jet is clear. That is excellent. That is excellent. There's no ports on the side for it. It's just the one. So that's good. All the jets on this are clear. That's good news. Oh, excuse me. Now I do know there was O-rings on this. I dumped them out by accident. There's an O-ring and there's a washer. And my dumb ass dropped it out. Dropped it out last time. Oh, well, there's that. This is also very important. In the event you guys weren't paying attention. Shit. This is what that butterfly goes into. Alright. You see a big hole right here. That right there. See, now this rod can slide back and forth inside that shaft. Alright. There's your rod. Well, it's not supposed to move around like that. That's where this little thing comes into play. Alright. And it's different on both sides. You'll notice one side is beveled out. It's a little bit longer. And this side is much narrower. Alright. The beveled outside goes down into that chamber. If I can get it. Okay, so it falls down inside there. Now you can see it. It's silver. And then this is where the air mixture screw. I guess the air mixture screw, I'm not sure. This goes in here like so, and you want to pay attention to the threads on this. because it matters. Because you'll see how that shaft is up all the way. What I'm talking about is this little drum. Come on. This just fell out. Now, whenever you guys take this and put it into a parts washer, if this thing expands in a 130-degree parts washer, well, that little piece will fall out. Sometimes it's pressed in there, it's got garbage on it, and it won't come out. It won't come out because this has tightened down and it's pressed on it. Now, it is easy to flip this upside down. Very, very possible. So let's do that. Come on. Come on. Okay. Alright, so I had the wide section exposed. So let's flip it over. Let's put it the other way. It will also fit, but it won't. And you'll see the difference. Alright, you see how I'm taking the wider end? It's facing up, like so. I'm just going to drop that down in there. Watch this. It'll fit. If you can get that rod to line up. There we go. Alright, see? It looks like it fits. And then you take this, and it is possible to run this up. But it won't let me. It only goes one way. You see that? See how it's not coming through? Yeah. So you can't screw that up, but you gotta pay attention. Alright, so let's go ahead and take all that out. Start taking the rest of this apart. Alright, so this is what I was talking about earlier. Is O-ring and a washer. These two little things, this is what I was paying attention to earlier, and I screwed up. I made a mistake. This is your idle adjustment, fuel adjustment screw. What happens is you take your washer, you put that over that first, and then you take your O-ring, and you put that over that. That is how that works. The reason for that is so that the washer separates the spring and the O-ring. You don't want that spring tearing your O-ring. It's the last thing you want. So that's how those go together. I made the mistake by not paying attention to that earlier. See? O-ring. So this goes together. Alright, so let's start taking other stuff apart. Let's check this out. I don't think I broke this loose yet. This, I do not know exactly what it's called, but I know it controls the airflow. And without it, your bike will backfire. I can't remember what it's called. For those who know what it is, I do apologize. At least you know what it is and you have a one-up on me. There's a lot of spring tension, so slowly bring it up. There's a lot of spring tension. You want to pay attention to that. There you go. Looks a little dirty, so we'll wash that. Pull the spring off. And there's a diaphragm right here. So it's just like one of these. I have, appears to be 2 diaphragms. And I want to say that they are completely separate. two very different types of diaphragms. There's this one, and then there's this one. I don't know which one's which. Do not know. See, they're very different diaphragms, but I'm not sure which one that is. So we're gonna find out. Our objective is to pull that out of there. So this is why I use a pick. I'll go around the edge. And I'll raise up on that edge. There's also a small O-ring right here. Pay attention. There's an O-ring there for a reason, guys. You know I have O-rings in this package. I'll pull that straight up. And it looks like it is going to be this one. Alright, so here's the old one, here's the new one. Difference between the two is just one is dirty and the other one isn't. When I go to check these, I look at them in the light, and I kind of like, I feel for, you know, its texture. I want to see if it still kind of stretches a little bit, just a little bit, and that's good. It's pliable, but this one doesn't feel that pliable. It looks like this one is dry rot. I don't know if you guys can see that. There you go. So that is a sign of a bad gasket. Not gasket, a bad diaphragm. Still kind of pliable, but we're going to replace it anyway. I don't know what this is for, guys, but I do know that this prevents backfires. It stops your bike from backfiring. So I know where that goes. Let's see what else. We still need to get into this diaphragm up here. So I've already opened up everything else. I need to get that needle out. We are in the good. When you're setting your idle, you see these little holes right here? Not this one. This is for your idle set. It's for this one. That goes in here. In fact, let me show you. When you put this in here, look close. Let's see it come up. See a needle come up? There it is. A little guy. And then whenever I start backing it off to set the idle, so it starts pulling that needle back out. And that would be like your idle right there. But you pull it all the way out, and then you have nothing but a hole. Alright. Whenever you set your idle, the idle is actually going to be right here. And where the fuel goes from that, it shoots straight down. Down here, down this port, down and forward, straight through up to the front, and it feeds into, it's hard to tell, but there's little bit of holes right here. Okay, so if I open this up, wipe it clean a little bit, can't really tell. If you close the butterfly, There should be little holes at the very bottom. Right here. These right here are for your idle. Just want to let you know. Alright, so let's go ahead and get into the top of the carburetor. I apologize if this is a long video. Try not to screw this up because this is not my carburetor. Really pushing down, trying not to strip it. My first time breaking this part open. With my finger here, I'm pushing down because there is a spring that is pushing up. Now sometimes if this gets stuck, you can take the butt of your screwdriver and tap it and it'll break free. Never, ever, under any circumstance, do you take a screwdriver and put it between these two things and try to pry it open. Do not do that. Never do that. Always take something like this or a small little hammer or something and tap the sides until it breaks that seal. Alright, so I'm going to slowly bring it up. Straight up. Nice and slow. Hold that spring. There's your cap. Hold the spring straight up. Step it to the side. Now, inside here is your diaphragm. It feels really, really pliable, so that's good. In the middle, remember that little butterfly I was telling you about? Yeah, so this is what it's attached to. Pull it straight up. There you go. All this is kind of dirty, so I'm going to spray it down with carb cleaner before I start putting things back together. This here will adjust your idle. You'll push your needle straight up, and there is a plastic retainer. This is what holds your needle in place. It holds its center at all times. I'll pull that out. They're not looking to replace it, so we're going to keep using that one. Looking at this needle here, it has no new notches or any other options. So this one is a stock needle. What it would normally have, if you were able to change these, I can't remember what they call it. If you shims, yeah, you can shim it. You can move this little disc down a notch, which will force this butterfly to open up just a little bit, or to allow a little extra fuel to come through, so you can have better performance. A lot of people use that for racing, but in this case, this is a stock pin or stock needle. It's actually in really clean condition, so I'm gonna get rid of this one because they're changing it in this package. You see it right there? It's a new one, so we're gonna put a new one inside here. But this here, you can tell it's been rubbing up against the wall for a while. It's got some wear on it. So, I mean, the bike was very, very well used. This right here just tells me it's probably got well over 100,000 miles on that bike. Easy. So, but anyway, I'm going to clean all this surface. This can be replaced. They have a new one over here. But it looks smaller. I'm not sure if I want to do that. I think I'm not going to swap them out. This one still looks like it's in good shape because it feels pliable. I don't see light coming through it. This diaphragm right here feels very healthy. There's no rips. That is really good. So we're gonna go ahead and reuse this, but I'm gonna clean up the outside of it. So anyway, that's basically how you disassemble one of these carburetors. Oh shit, I almost forgot. This is your accelerator pump. All right, let's go ahead and cover that real quick. Oh man, I'm sorry guys, I almost forgot about this. All right, let's undo this. Again, whenever you go to undo one of these, you want to make sure you put pressure on it, just in case if it's got a spring that's gonna fire back at you. I think this kit comes with new screws. The gasket, the diaphragm is the gasket, guys. So you want to make sure you have a good seal and be careful when you go to put it on there. See that there? I go to open it and there's a spring in there too. It's pushing up on it, so that's good. And slowly peel it open to see what's going to be in there and how it's organized when you go to put it on. That is very important. It's very crucial. Also, be very careful because this is most important. God, I hope you guys have been watching this entire time. The O-rings, guys. The O-rings. This one here, it requires an O-ring. Now, I think there's another O-ring that's in here, but yeah, that also requires an O-ring. So whenever, like I said, when you push down on this plunger, right, it pushes down on that diaphragm, which forces gas through that port where does it go? Yeah, it shoots gas up through this port and up inside into the top of that, into the intake of that carburetor, because you're still waiting for the suction of the carburetor to catch up. So this kind of like speeds things along. So this is very important. Don't forget how it comes apart, okay? So, all right, well, I'm going to reverse everything that I just did. Whenever you guys put this stuff back together, please be careful as you put it back together. I mean, I'm already at an hour on this video. I do apologize for the length of it. But again, this is the first time I've ever taken one of these apart, but I do know this is very important when you do take it apart. I'm gonna leave that on there for right now. Now, one more thing I forgot to mention before I call it quits on this video. Now this is, I'm gonna clean everything and have everything reassembled, because I mean, you just reverse everything that I just did and you guys will be just fine. I highly recommend that you record what you do in the event that you forget where you were and where things came from. Trust me, being a YouTuber, it's been a blessing for me. So anyway, one more thing I want to talk about is these this O-ring here. This is a gasket. You see the black ring around the edge of this bowl? All right. Now, one way that you can tell that this is a bad ring and that it's no longer gonna hold a seal is it may look good this way, but if you rotate it like this, if you lose sight of that O-ring, if it doesn't protrude or stick up right here, so you can see it's still there. If it doesn't stick up, that means it is not a good seal. You can't even see the gasket no more. That's how flat it is. Okay, so the O-ring is there. This thing right here. And if I rotate it, then you'll see it disappear. So that's how you know it's not sticking up. So if you go to put this on, you're gonna have leaks 100%. I guarantee it. So that's why I use these picks to kind of pull them out. And you can even tell, look at it, it's squished. It's like pancaked. So if I were to like kind of lay it down a little bit, let's say if I put it back in there, again, it doesn't fix anything. It's still flat. It's still gonna leak. So don't risk it, change it. Let me put the new one in and I'll show you what it's supposed to look like. So we're gonna pull this out. This one's no longer good. Alright. Now you be careful when you pull these out, because you want to make sure you get the right one when you order a new one. Alright. This one was a very specific type of O-ring. This is the old one. This is the new one. Alright. Old one, new one. They're identical. So that's good. So let's take the new one. Let's put the old one with the old crap. Alright. So we're going to lay this over its seat. I'm just going to touch it in there. Alright. And it's in there. It's seated. Now if you go to look at it from the side, see? You can still see it. It's hard to tell, but trust me, it's there. See? Well, it's my finger now. There you go. Now you can see it against the contrast of my skin. Still see it there? See that little black right here? Yeah, that's the O-ring. It's still sticking up against my finger. It's sticking up. See, it's shiny right there. That's good. That's what you want. I guarantee that will seal and you won't have any leaks at all. So, alright, ladies and gentlemen, well, hopefully you guys found this educational. Hopefully I help you guys out with this type of carburetor. The reassembly process is just reversing everything you've done. If parts like this look old and you just don't trust them, and the new kit comes with a new one, swap it out, put the new one in, and when you do, make sure it's identical. Always put them side by side. Make sure everything's right. Okay. Check all the valves, everything I just walked you through. Make sure you double check your stuff. And as for the diaphragms, make sure they are very pliable. Kind of flex them back and forth. Look to see if you can find any cracks. Put them up against the light and see if you can see any light come through. Fold them a little bit. See if you can see if they crack in your fingers. If they do, that allows fuel to get past it, and your carburetor will run like crap, and your bike will run like crap. So. But that's pretty much it for this video. Hopefully you guys found it as, not really that entertaining, but educational as best as I could. I am not a professional at this, but I do know what I'm talking about. I do know how to rebuild these, and I do know what to look for. So I'm going to post this up. I'm sorry that the video was so long, but I try my best to make it as informative as I possibly can, because there's no other videos that cover these Kawasaki Vulcan carburetors. And they go into detail and they show you against the camera versus like they do stuff off camera. I saw that irritated me, and I want to be able to show you guys everything I've learned. So if you found it educational or helpful, And if I missed anything, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Definitely comment down below if you can. Let me know if I missed anything. If I did, I am sorry. But your comments are also very welcomed for those who are looking for this type of video and they read the comments for help. It's the same thing as a forum, and trust me, forums help on motorcycle builds. So again, like, share, comment, subscribe. I appreciate you guys watching it and sticking with me this far. Again, I apologize for the length of the video, but it's for you guys and I'm doing my best. So y'all take it easy. I love you. Good night.
This morning, tie my boots up, 'cause I knew it was gonna be a long day. Tie my truck up.